Hold up, look, check it. Sorry I ain't end up a college kid. Stood on the corner with the problem kids. Wish I could show my brother how to live. This ain't the way, bro, do the opposite. At night I pray, hope we get out of this. Ain't tryna play no hot ass block with Knicks. I'm tryna hit an outlet, caught some kicks. Push the brake up in that Audi and then watch it drift. Hey yo, but look, on the real though, you something I kill for. And once I hit 2 mil, we watching the mail blow.
Peace, everybody. Welcome to my very first episode of the podcast, Respect Your Passion. This is a very special, personal interview that I got going on here. It's my older brother, Christopher Rodriguez. I'm 30 years old at this time, and I could say we finally met last year. A very wonderful experience. It's the last brother I've yet to meet. Just to give you a little backside of my story, um, I wasn't raised by my father. I have three brothers that I didn't know my whole entire life. One by one, I began to meet them. I met my father about 2 years ago, and Chris was the last brother I have yet to meet until last summer. Um, we met at my other brother's wedding in the hotel. It was a surprise that he was even going to attend. Um, we spent that whole night to 2, 3 in the morning just playing mental gymnastics. I could say he's like personality wise, wisdom wise, knowledge wise. You could tell he's my brother when we met because it was just mental gymnastics from that point, and it was a dope experience. So I had to make sure that he was the first episode, and you guys are gonna see how interesting he is and how interesting our relationship is. Chris, just go ahead, introduce yourself, my brother.
What's up, big dog? My name is Chris Rodriguez. That's my little brother, my little big brother, John. And it was a wild experience. Both of us grew up without our dad. And but we got to meet our dad. I got to meet my dad a little bit earlier than he did. And it's beautiful at this just a thought that we never knew each other and we're like on the same wavelength within like how we think about life, how we try to motivate others, how do we try to inspire others. It's crazy how those genetics work. Like we never met each other ever, and we operate on the same level of principles and standards about life. And I think that was truly beautiful when we first met.
For sure, for sure. I could attest to that as well, my brother. But speak on who you are, speak on what you do, speak on you. Just introduce the audience to you, my brother, just the way you introduce yourself to me.
Yeah, well, let's start. I grew up in a small town in Dunkirk, New York, and it's a real small American town, very culturally diversified. A lot of Hispanics, blacks, and white people all meshed together. Um, and then I went into the Marine Corps at 18. I served with Special Forces, Marine MARSOC, Marine Special Operations Command, and Infantry Unit, 1st Battalion, 1st Marines from 2007 2012. Then I went to college in Saddleback Community College in Orange County, California, in Mission Viejo. I wandered about um, for a couple years with my family in California. Did a couple psychedelic trips and retreats, and just kind of wandered for a couple years, reading and studying, trying to figure out who I was, going through my own little individuation process, trying to tap into my soul. And then I found out about 4 years ago I had a brain aneurysm from the VA, from one of my doctors. And then I got a little nervous about being out there so far, like 2,500 miles away from family. So I moved back home to my hometown. And since then, I've been worked with a group of friends called Small Town Big Minds. We were actually doing some podcasts. And we did some community development projects to try to preach group economics, because there ain't a lot to do where I'm from. But a lot of people always hoping, that's why a lot of wealthy people say hope is for the poor, because they kept hoping for somebody else to keep coming to try to fix the community. And what I was trying to do with them and what we were trying to do is to try to show that if you put your money together, we can create anything. We can create heaven on earth. So we did a cultural diversity mural. We did an outdoor ice rink, and then we did a kickball slash wiffle ball field. And then I started working with this nonprofit organization called Kids at Promise. I'm actually the president of the board of Kids at Promise. And 2XL Boxing, that's our main program in Kids at Promise, is our 2XL Boxing program. And we teach the kids how to, we're trying to get better at teaching our kids how to deal with their emotions. Um, we have baking classes. We have an online entrepreneurship class. I do mentorships and public speaking in the community. I've spoke at my own high school, the Boys and Girls Club. I did a Passport to Manhood class with 12-year-olds. That was pretty wild. Um, I actually got way more comfortable to speak in front of old people than little kids, because little kids will let you know, like, yo, this dude mad boring. You're like, yo, I gotta go to the bathroom. Like, it got real, like, mess with your psyche dealing with like the little kids. But when they tap in and you see their eyes open wide, then you know, like, they really engaged.
Hmm.
But that's what I've been doing so far. I invest in real estate. I invest in crypto. I invest in NFTs. Made some bad decisions there. Learned the hard way. Um, I do a lot. Came from nothing. I bought my first house a year and a half ago. I got 28 acres in the middle of nowhere, and I'm really proud of that. And I think a lot of people don't celebrate themselves enough. Show themselves self love. They look at it as being cocky or something like that. Now you need to celebrate yourself, um, because coming all this way and all these accomplishments. I know it may sound like I just rattled off all these accomplishments, like, oh, I was in the Marine Corps, oh, I went to college, oh, but yo, it was a struggle the whole way. Like, I'm still trying to figure out like who I am. I got a more of a foundation of who I am and what I believe in, what my standards, my principles. But this whole journey is like, that's why people say I wish I knew what I know now before, but in order to become wise, you have to be a fool first. Like, you gotta be dumb as fuck first, and then eventually you become wise. But this journey has been a lot of tears, a lot of anger, a lot of frustration. Um, but it really is beautiful to see, at 33, that I can say I'm proud of myself, but I still beat myself up mentally. I can't sit here and act like I'm not flawed either. I still beat myself up too, like, oh, what's the next thing we gotta do? What's the next goal at hand? And sometimes that's why I say, like, yo, I just gotta sit back and be proud of myself and how far I've come so far, instead of trying to compare my life to the next person's life on social media, or something like that. Be proud that I'm a better man today than I was yesterday, and I'm always competing with the guy I am today to be better, tomorrow. It's just me against the guy in the mirror. But now that I met my brothers, who are also very alpha and competitive, now we challenge one another as a group. And before it was very independent. Like you said, both our dad wasn't there, so we didn't have no masculine mentorship along the way. Like, I have my stepdad. My stepdad was cool. He taught me a lot about sports and stuff like that. And I met my dad, and he taught me a couple things here and there, but not having no masculine support along the whole journey really created a chip on my shoulder. Like, yo, I'm gonna get this shit done. I'm gonna make this shit happen. If ain't nobody fucking here, I'm gonna make this shit happen. It really creates this independent mindset, like this independent lone wolf mindset. And it took me a while to come out my hobbit hole. Like, small town big minds, those dudes grabbed me out my hobbit hole. But now that I'm starting to connect with all my brothers, and we're starting to come together like a wolf pack, like, it's cool to be a lone wolf, but if we operate like a pack, like group economics, um, we become invincible. So I don't want to rant too long. I gotta let you speak too, because I'll keep
Nah,
going, bro.
nah, I feel you. I just want my audience, like, I know a lot of my audience that's gonna watch this episode know me personally, and they're gonna look at you and look at everything you say and say, "Wow, that's Chubby just from a whole nother a whole nother spectrum, like a whole nother area code. And I also want to make the point that no way, shape, or form this is a, a degrading type of interview in terms of like my pops. We've worked on that relationship. I have no hard feelings towards my pops. So when we speak on our pops wasn't there, that's towards the back end. That's in the past. So this
Yeah,
is
yeah.
not to
I
speak
think
on
a lot
that.
of people. I think it's good to point that out because a lot of people assume that when I say like, "Oh, my dad wasn't there," that's just to let you know of
Hmm.
like um, the mental hardships. Like, I really firmly believe that it takes a masculine and feminine presence to really mold a child into a very productive and powerful human being. You know, like my mom did a great job. My stepdad was cool. I always think, what if my dad was there? But we built a relationship. I love my dad. You know what I'm saying? Like, I love my
Hmm.
pops. I love my brothers. There's definitely no hard feelings there. I understand why they separated. I understand why they wasn't around each other. Um, sometimes I think a big thing to talk about on this journey is that we get so distracted from relationships. Like how many people focus their livelihood on their relationship status. Does this man love me? Does this is this female being loyal? Um, so I think it took a lot for my mom and my father to recognize that they were toxic, and it was time to separate, and they had to separate the way they had to separate, and that's understandable. I
Yeah.
was a little bit bitter as a
Mhm.
young man, but now as a grown one, I've let that chip heal.
Yeah, I just wanted to point that out because I didn't want words to get misinterpreted or people to twist our words in any type of shape or form. Shout out to him. People make mistakes. There's
Yep,
not
shout out
nothing
pops.
against him. Yeah, and I just wanted to be like, I feel like it's important to be vulnerable and just say, hey, we didn't have our pops because there may be kids watching out here that may say, oh yeah, I don't have my pops neither, and can't relate to the story that we tell, and just see
Yeah,
how we move past it, how we built that relationship after, and just move forward with life after that.
yeah, nah, it's really important to be vulnerable. I think that's why a lot of people in my community really connect with me because I'm not really trying to put on a front when I'm with people. I'm really vulnerable. I'm very open with like who I am. I'm very I talk about my insecurities, I talk about my flaws, I talk about my mistakes openly. Like I don't really try to emulate this perfect persona. And because it's like how are people going to grow? Like if I don't talk about my weakest moments, my most vulnerable moments, how can I teach these kids that I'm mentoring? Oh, yo, I'm just gonna sit here and stunt like, yo, you could get a nice car one day. Yo, you can get a nice house one day. Like, oh, you could get a beautiful woman one day. And act like it didn't come with all these life lessons. Like, one of the things I'm learning with my kids, a lot of my kids in boxing, they don't know how to lose. One of our kids was crying for
Hmm.
2 hours after he lost a boxing match. And I remember when I lost at one of my businesses after the Marine Corps. It was a clothing line called Swag Clothing, Street Wisdom and Culture Knowledge. When that failed, I went down. I didn't know how to fail. And that's one of the things why I'm so vulnerable with my kids right now. I call them my kids because I gotta like and kids at Promise. I got over 100 kids registered. I got like 40 kids that show up a week. Um, that I take care of, that I look out for, that I mentor, that I try to drop gems in, that we do boxing. We got a bunch of boxing trainers and baking instructors that, we're just trying to mentor these kids. So like if I keep trying to act all perfect, like the first thing they see is like, oh, they see the rings. I had a chain that broke.
Hmm.
Like they see the nice car. Like that's the first thing they see is the image, but they don't actually have the knowledge of what it is to go about life sometimes because they're suffering from their own shit at home. So being vulnerable and speaking on my flaws and is going to really help them evolve into a better man than I am. I think I think a lot of parents and a lot of people get upset when their little brother or their son, like I've noticed out here, a lot of moms are jealous of their younger daughters who are more beautiful than they are. Like they're insecure that they're not as beautiful as they once were. I got friends that I put on in the day who are more successful than me. My little brother, Joshua is. I ain't. He'll watch this, but I don't like to tell him. But he's pretty intelligent. And then when it comes to you, I could sit here and be hard all day, but you're a pretty tough individual. Like these are my proud moments. Even though we just met, all my little brothers are successful.
Mhm.
And I think that came with me being so vulnerable with them and just trying to always just teach them all my fucked up shit I had along the way, except for you. But that's crazy because we're so our souls are so serendipitous, like synchronized, and we just met. Is fucking wild. Them genetics.
It clicked, bro. 3 in the morning, we was up chatting, talking about knowledge, talking about our journeys, talking about our experiences, the obstacles and hurdles that we had in front of us, and it was just like, damn, if we wasn't tired, we probably would have kept going.
Yeah, dog. That was very intellectually stimulating, and we went down the rabbit hole on some topics. Probably some
Yeah,
topics
we did.
that would make a lot of people uncomfortable because we were down the rabbit
Mm-hmm.
hole, speaking on different different theories about humanity, different theories about economics, race, spirituality, enlightenment. Yeah, if I wasn't exhausted from that trip at 3 in the morning, we could have pulled an all nighter, man. Our souls were bouncing off each other like a game of ping pong, and
Mm-hmm,
nobody
for
was
sure.
scoring. It was just going back and forth. It was just intellectual stimulation, and that's what I love. Like, um, someone hit me up recently, and was try to talk to me, and they're like, "Hey, can I call you about something?" And I was just like, I knew what type of time they were on, their energy. Like I had mentored them and helped them. I love mentoring. I mentor adults too. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and I knew the conversation was going to be gossip, and I know
Mm-hmm.
it kind of made them a little upset when I said I was like, nah, I don't want to talk on the phone right now. This ain't really going to be a meaningful conversation. I'm not really into gossiping. And well,
Mm-hmm.
when we talk, it's very intellectually stimulating. Like we already know what time it is. If we're not talking about growth, if we're not talking about investing, if we ain't talking about um, bettering ourselves, evolving as a man, then we're not really sitting here talking about what Julie said over there, or what Brian said about us, or some dude hating on us, like unless they're actually really trying to kill us, type shit. But like we're not really on that type of time. Me and you, it's called a sapiosexual, and it's like when I talk to even my woman, intellectual stimulation is what gets me hyped. You know.
For sure, for sure. I was hyped that night. I'm like, yo, this dude just like me, and we never met. I'm like, this dude is just like me. We gonna hit it off.
Yeah,
And even
dog.
when we went over there, we spent a couple hours in your living room, just chopping it up and just spitting wisdom back
Yeah.
to back to one another.
I think what's beautiful though is that, like, and a lot of people need to do this, take this and run with it, is get they I think Biggie was lying when he said family and business don't mix like two dicks. I think it can get when your family members are on the same time, like all my brothers are, like that's that's the type of business you want to work on. When I honestly was getting tired of business, like these last couple months, I burnt myself out because I'm doing a nonprofit. We going off donations. I don't even make money off that. And then I'm making money off my real estate, and then I'm dealing with my own culture of people who are very ignorant at times, and always got excuses about paying and stuff like that I was getting tired. I was going to sit back and chill off of what I got and just relax. And then I start seeing all my
Hmm.
brothers being on the same wave. One of my brothers talking about real estate. My other brother runs a real estate firm. My other brother runs a home inspection business. um, my best friend runs a flooring company. My my cousin's husband runs a trucking company, and he just moved down to Nashville and is talking about doing fixer uppers and the bird process, and I was like looking, it's like, yo, all my family on the same wave. So let's start talking together.
Mm-hmm.
Let's start building together. So I think Biggie was bullshitting when he was like that. You know, I get you. It is bad if you try to make a business with ignorant people, but if you can wait for them all to develop, like my little brother Thomas, he works with Buffalo Kids, he works with West Side Gun and Griselda, um, and he's on his own path right now. So I'm not forcing him like, yo, you got to be a part of our family business right now. Nah, let him go and do his own journey for a little bit, and when it's time for him to come back, he'll come back. But let him go on
Mm-hmm.
his own journey. And it was crazy how we all just like we all went on our own journeys, and then we kind of came back and we're trying to knit it together and to be like a pack of wolves instead of a bunch of lone wolves on our own shit all the time.
For sure, for sure. I could definitely agree as the ultimate alpha of the family. I could definitely agree with everything you
The
just said.
ultimate alpha need to speak up a little bit more. Then if he the ultimate, he need to put some tone up in that voice.
I know. I'm just getting comfortable in front of the camera. I'm just getting comfortable in front of the camera.
Yeah,
But
I
I
know
just
it
wanted
took
to
it
ask you,
took me a
bro.
while to get comfortable, man. But it feels good to be back in front of the camera because me and my boys, we're doing small town big minds. Hey, sit down back there, big dog. I know you hype. If you can't hear my dog, he's trying to scratch his back on the rug. But we did about 12 episodes, 13 episodes talking to the community, and it took us a while to get comfortable in front of the camera. And I think a lot of people. That's why it's so powerful that you're just doing this. You ain't sitting
Hmm.
thinking about it. You ain't sitting talking about it in a smoke circle. An idea you have. Yo, what if we did this? Yo, you should do this. Yo, it'd be crazy if we did this. No, you actually like, all right, I'm just gonna do it, and then I'm gonna learn along the way. And I think that's the best way is to just start going in at no, don't have no perfect business plan. You want to have those things eventually, but sometimes just dive in as long as it's not a big, a podcast isn't a big upfront investment cost. What do we got? We got our laptops and we're using Riverside Studios. It's not that big of a upfront cost to make this happen, but you're gonna get comfortable and you're gonna
For
rewatch
sure, for
yourself,
sure.
and when
It's all
after you
about
rewatch
trial and error.
yourself,
I promise my audience every single episode I'm gonna get better. I'm gonna update the quality and just continue growing in front of the camera and just be transparent with my audience. That's what I did with the clothing brand as well. My
yeah,
first drop was
Teach Peace,
was
shout out
not the
Teach
best.
Peace.
For sure, for sure. Shout out to Teach Piece. But my first drop wasn't the best. The clothes started shrinking. People were complaining. And I was just transparent with my audience. Yo, my next drop is gonna be a lot better. My next drop is gonna be a lot better. And people just continuously supported it. And people just appreciated the transparency. So whatever you're trying to do, whatever business you're trying to go through, there's gonna be obstacles, there's gonna be hurdles in front of you. Just be transparent with your audience, be transparent with your customers, and let them know what's going on. And they
Yeah,
got no choice but to support it.
yeah, I feel you on that. And I think that's beautiful. You started this podcast, and I think that's kind of the purpose of this podcast, right?
Yeah, for sure. Just to put everything on Front Street, just to put everything's like, hey, this is what I'm doing. This is the platform that I'm trying to come with, and just continuously grow in front of the camera.
And I think that let's get into that topic. The podcast is was it respect your passion?
Correct, correct.
Respect your passion. I think is a beautiful name, and you have a beautiful logo. Um, and I'm gonna go on what I think about respecting your passion is, and I might go down the rabbit hole. So if you gotta cut me off, you gotta cut me off because sometimes my neurons just start going, and sometimes I need to be told to stop. But
The floor is yours. Go ahead.
all right, well, respect your passion for me means. Well, let's first get started on why people don't know what their passion is. Um, and it was a book, the Red Book by C.G. Jung, who was a big philosopher and a psychiatrist who studied dreams and stuff like that. And he said that our society lacks the individuation process, and the individuation process is like the easiest example I could give is from the movie 300 with the Spartans, and when they throw the little boy into the woods and tell him, you can't come back to our society until you come back with a wolf's head. That during that time he's on a journey on his own in the woods and nature, connecting spiritually and trying to figure out who he is and what he stands for, what he believes in. And we don't really, our society don't really have an individuation process. Like the public education system is bullshit. They're teaching us a bunch of shit that makes us employees. It's a big babysitter program to help make little gears up in the big machine of the big brother and the big machine of our society. So a lot of people don't know what their passion is. They don't know where to tap in at or how to connect with anything. So for me, um, in high school, I was very vibrant. In elementary school, I was very vibrant. The Marine Corps, I became very like the Marine Corps is where I first learned to follow and then lead. So you got to learn to follow um, whatever you're trying to learn in life, whatever you're trying, you got to learn to bend the knee. I think a lot of men or people in the general operate in their egos and they don't know how to bend the knee when they're in the presence of somebody else who's wiser. So if I'm trying to fix my property and my mom's boyfriend, he's a plumber, when he comes over, I'm not gonna sit here and act like, oh yeah, I did this plumbing job one time, and then oh yeah, I tried to I put this stuff together. No, I don't know fucking plumbing. I'm gonna shut the fuck up. I'm gonna bend the knee, and he's gonna speak to me. And then when he's done and I absorb it, I can stand back up. So what I mean by take the knee is put your ego away for a minute so you can absorb. Because when you get upset that somebody's more accomplished than you or has better skill set in a certain area, you shut your ears off, your audio off to absorbing. So bend the knee in the moment, and that's why I was learning the hard part when I got a bunch of guys together in my community to try to work together for the kids, and we got in a group. Nobody knew how to take a knee. Everybody was trying to like be the alpha in the room, and we're all alphas. That's cool, but know when to take a knee for a minute, absorb what I got to say, take a knee and absorb what he's got to say instead of always trying to like bicker over one another. So that's what the Marine Corps allowed me to do, was learn how to follow at first, learn structure, learn discipline. A lot of people don't know have accountability. Um, I've noticed since being out the military that people don't like to be held accountable. They don't like constructive criticism. In order for you to evolve on your journey, you got to take constructive criticism from other people. You can't take it as offense and hold a grudge for the next 3 years and go at home and watch Scarface and look in the mirror and be like, who the fuck he think he talking to? And get hyped off a fucking, a mafia movie and think you're going to go shoot somebody because he said, yo, you kind of talk a certain way, or you kind of dressed in a certain way to a business meeting, and it's like, yo, who the fuck you think you are talking? Like, this is just me. I'm always gonna be the same. It's one of those
Mhm.
street principles that is whack as fuck to me. Like, oh, I'm always gonna be the same. I ain't never gonna change. How the fuck you gonna evolve? Does a flower stay, stuck as a stem? No, that motherfucker got to blossom, and when you find your passion in life, that's when you blossom. So after the Marine Corps is when I went and tried to really go on my journey. Um, I had to establish some funding, so I had to bust my butt and sacrifice for like 5 years, and then I got benefits from the GI Bill and my disability that allowed me to pay bills, so I wasn't so struggled on my bills every day. Um, I took a good sacrifice for a couple years to generate some streams of income to pay my bills so I could focus on my soul. Most people can't focus on their passion because they focused on their bills. They're focused on the problems. It's one bill after another. They get a new car, boom, tire fucking fuck up. They get a house, the plumbing fucks up. They just struggling to get by with their rent. So I had to sacrifice a few years of my life in the military to establish a stream of income. And then I started doing a bunch of shit. I started a clothing line, did great. We were about to get promoted by Kendrick Lamar when he got Drop Good Kid, Mad City, and we were late to the fucking meeting. at his mom's house in Compton. Never got it back. And that's when my downhill spiral of depression, because I couldn't deal with failure, happened. And that's when I started just studying mad shit, reading mad books. I got high for like 2 straight years. And I was just reading mad books, taking care of my daughter, learning how to be a father. But eventually I started trying new things. I tried acting, and this is what I mean by finding your passion, respect your passion. I didn't know what the fuck my passion was. I had no idea what my fucking passion was. So I was just like, yo, let me try acting. Um, you know, I was young, guy from New York, California. I was, a good looking dude, and I was pretty good at being a little player and manipulating women when I was younger, because that's what I thought being a man was until I evolved and had a daughter. But I thought, oh, I'll be a good actor. No, I was terrible. I was leaving the acting thing, and I walked right. It was in LA, and the whole wall was made of glass, and there was this pretty girl at the front desk, and I was leaving. I was like, yo, bye, see you later. Or I was like, yo, you got a card with your number on it or something? I don't know what I said. Something try to be slick. Turned around, boom, walked right into the glass wall. They cleaned that shit perfect. I didn't even see it. Walked right into that shit, embarrassing. Everybody laughed. I never went back to try to act ever again in my life. But I stuck my toes in that water to try to feel like let my soul get a feel for that idea of acting, that idea I had. And I was like, nah, I ain't like that. I tried to do real estate agent, and I had opportunities there. I probably would have been good at that, but this is a time where like opportunities open and those doors close. Like I had an opportunity to work with a real estate agent in Orange County who was established, who handed me his business card, loved my swag, loved my style. He knew I had a gift of gab of when I speak. And I never called him. I just, I think about it, today sometimes. I'm like, I never even called him. So that journey was shut because I never tried to walk through that door that somebody tried to open for me. And sometimes it is who you know. Sometimes the opportunities will open, they'll open the door and they'll only be there for a minute. So I was trying a bunch of different things to try to find my passion. And when I came home, I just noticed my mindset had changed from my community. And a lot of people in my community were in their 30s when I grew up with, but they still had the mindset of a 16-year-old. And they wanted to evolve and they were trying, but they didn't know where to go. So a couple of my boys, they asked me if I wanted to do a podcast. We call it Small Town Big Minds. We started talking about group economics, how we could rebuild the community. And It kind of slowed down a little bit, but I think somebody told me, because for me, I felt like if we stopped, I felt like we failed. And I had a talk with my barber. Shout out to Dave Avalier, Dave the barber from 716 to Fix. He actually just went to a new barbershop because he's trying to evolve himself on his journey. He didn't want to stay stuck at one place, even though that place was very beneficial for him. He's evolving and jumping around. So shout out to him. He said, I think y'all accomplished your goal with Small Town Big Minds. Don't look at it as a failure if you don't do it no more, because you opened up the minds in the community to believe that we are all capable of doing more if we work together, and that your mission was accomplished with that. And I think that was real necessary because my brain does too many things at once, and I need to channel my vision into a couple tasks and stop trying to save the world and try. That's why a lot of woke people try to like save the whole planet and stuff, and then they just get drained and upset. And that's why I was like, oh, why don't we just focus on the 5 mile radius of my small town, where our podcast we didn't speak to nobody in New York City. We didn't speak to nobody in LA. Our podcast was directly focused to the 13,000 people in our small town. And we got a, a lot of play, and that's where I was trying to establish principles in my new town. Everybody want to save the world, but you got to do it in your community first. And then, you gotta try to not let the ignorance blow out your flame of your soul. 'Cause that's a very difficult thing, is trying to help your community, because there's a reason the community is in the state it's in. I bought a couple properties. I tried to fix them up. I cleaned them up. A week later, it's trash everywhere. So you could try to fix up the community all you want, but if you don't fix the mindset first, hence why we did the podcast and why we're doing this, you got to fix the mindset first. And you can't save everybody. If you keep trying to save everybody, you're gonna drain yourself and you're gonna get upset. You're gonna keep beating yourself up. And believe me, I did it. I tried. I kept trying to save everybody that crossed my path. And now I'm aware, like, all right, is this person um have the intent of trying to improve themselves? All right, they don't. All right, I'm not gonna waste too much time. I'll keep it to simple conversations about the weather and sports. You know, if this person is trying to trying to evolve their soul, okay, we can get a little bit more in depth in the conversation, but also you don't want to push them over the edge. You kind of want to like pat them on the back and rub their back, because you know the smallest little accomplishments for them may be the may feel the smallest accomplishments in your mind that you may have accomplished like when you were 18, 19, 20. They may have accomplished when they're 30 might be huge to them, like rebuilding their credit, buying their first car. um I was in the Marine Corps, got my first car when I was 18, 19. But I had the benefits of the system. A lot of my friends that I know just got their first car and they were 30, 28, 27, 26. um and that was a huge accomplishment for them. In my mind, sometimes I was so focused on having them evolve so quickly and finding their passion that I didn't notice I was belittling them along the way. Like, okay, you got a car, what's next?
Mhm.
Like, nah, don't diminish that goal that they had. It may not be
Yeah.
as the same time frame as you, but celebrate it and then let them appreciate it, and then eventually a couple days later or weeks later, then fucking try to guide them, instead of just you know, shoving fucking life down their throat and expecting them to figure out their passion like instantaneously. Some people gotta take a week to figure it out. Some people take 3 years, 4 years. Shit, I'm 33, still trying to figure this shit out, but I know I'm on a better path now. It feels right, I don't feel as lost, and that's what I think. Um, respecting your passion is like, this shit is like um a marathon, like Nipsey Hussle said. Like, this shit is not a sprint. The only way it's a sprint is if you got connections. Like, that's the quickest way to wealth. That's the quickest way to your passion, and that's the quickest way to anything, is if you know somebody who opens that door and they lead you, mentor you, or give you funding or invest in you or give you the game. And that's why we do this, because we're trying to give the game to these youngins quick, you know. So I know I babbled on for a little bit. I want to let you speak here a little bit. My bad, big dog.
Nah, go ahead. That was all wisdom right there. That was all wisdom. That's the purpose of this podcast, just to let people have a platform to speak on what's important for them. So
Yeah,
that's not a babble on. That's just you speaking your truth.
yeah, 100,
And just to
100%.
touch up on the title, the title is actually a tribute to Nipsey Hussle. He has a song called "Respect Your Passion," and I spelled it exactly how he spelled his song. So it's definitely a tribute to him, who's definitely inspired me as an adult to just become better, seek wisdom, and just articulate my thoughts a little better. It's definitely a tribute to him. But
Yeah,
yeah.
that was when I found out he died. I was driving with my daughter, and I was so angry. I started crying because I felt like and my daughter was confused. She like that, because I be putting Hollywood on blast towards my daughter. I'd be like, yeah, don't be letting all that fame and everything get to your head, and these celebrities. Because I remember for a long time she wanted to be a YouTube star, and that's cool. You could be a YouTube star, but she kept saying, I want to be
Mhm.
famous. I want to be famous. And I kind of traumatized her. I showed her a documentary called Out of the Shadows, where this guy who works what he did. He was a stunt man in Hollywood, and he was talking about how a lot of the people and celebrities and stuff are very corrupt and very evil and stuff like that. Anyways, so um, I when I found out Nipsey died, I felt like the universe had lost like a true king, like a true man, like people will say, "Oh, he died on some hood shit or something like that." But I personally think somebody murdered him. That wasn't involved. We all know he was murdered, but I think there was some higher echelon uh, that took him out. He wanted to do that Dr. Sebi documentary. He had Idra Sandu as his CTO. Apple, Microsoft, nobody could get Idris Sandu to work for them. He was an independent coder. He was the most intelligent coder in the world. MIT guy had him speak, and Nipsey had him as his CTO. And they put those hologram shits in the marathon tags. So when you go to
Mhm.
scan a tag at the shirt, the Nipsey Hustle running on the treadmill pops up and it tells you a story, and they own the patent for that. So that means Louis, Gucci, all of them are gonna have to pay Nipsey for the patent rights to use in all their stores. Dude would have been a billionaire in 10 years. Then he was gonna do the documentary on Dr. Sebi and gonna put on blast how Dr. Sebi went to the Supreme Court with 71 or 72 of his patients and proved that he cured AIDS and cured all this stuff and proved it and won the Supreme Court case. Yeah, man, he was just he was on the right path. He was a warrior. He was a king, and that's he inspired both of us. And the thing is, that's why we got to work together, man. Because you could have all that money, like Nipsey. He had people working with him, but it's you got to get on a militant mindset to a point because now I might dive down the rabbit hole and get off topic here, but you stop me if you got to. But we got to get on a militant mindset a little bit because look at how all the great all the great thinkers in our community and the Hispanic and Black community get taken out. It's like they don't want us to have a leader. And when I say they, I say those people in power. It's like they don't want us, like the Reagan era who said the biggest thing that America fears is a black messiah. When they took out Freddie Hampton, when they took out Malcolm X, when they took out Nipsey, when they took out Dr. Sebi, um, there was a Puerto Rican warrior that stood up against Christopher Columbus and he was whooping their ass, but eventually he got caught and they burned him at the stake. I forgot his name. Um, but you have to get. It's like we got to become a group. We got to get out this ratchet mindset of like me against the world, being hateful towards one another, me mugging each other on the stoop. But the moment like some guy in a suit walk by, we want to set up straight. We want to act like we professional, act like we're respectable. But the moment we see somebody, like if I looked at another Puerto Rican dude, I'm a mean mug him because I'm comfortable disrespecting my own people. And I see it with Black people too. They're very comfortable disrespecting each other. And I think there's a reason why the word race is used to describe a group of people because it's a race to see whose ideologies and principles are going to control this earth realm. It's a race to see which race is going to be in power. That's why the Chinese work together. That's why the Jews work together. Um, and I think that comes back to our passion and respecting our passion is not only respecting our culture, and respecting our principles of who we are to establish what we believe is should be the passion of the world. It's it just be pissing me off, man. Like the food industry is all full of fucking bullshit that does harm to our bodies. The education industry is full of a bunch of bullshit to make us employees. We're always at war. It's just I think the leadership and I got man I get down the rabbit hole, but I have my own research that shows the people in power aren't the most consciously evolved. Their DNA strands only have like 5 DNA strands. These people in nature, these natives, these aboriginal people on the earth have 8 to 9 DNA strands. I ain't gonna get too much deep because they ain't about to take my ass out on the first podcast. I'm just a guy in a small town community, man. Don't be coming after me. But I'm just dropping gems and letting them plant where they lie. But there's more consciously evolved humans, and there's more unconsciously evolved humans, and I think those very deviant, evil, unconsciously genetically involved humans are the ones in power right now, and all the conscious and genetically evolved humans that are in the hoods and the concrete streets, that used to be tapped in with nature, are the ones all in the low income areas, but that's it's starting to flip flop, but we just got to keep working together, finding our passions, here and there, and then have them collide as a group. But I tried to stop myself because I felt myself going down. I had to climb back up the rabbit hole a little bit.
Bro, if you had to tell yourself something, your 16-year-old selves, just any type of wisdom, what would you tell them?
My
What you know
16-year
now?
old self, so I have to remember my 16-year-old self. My 16-year-old self, we could swear. I've already been swearing. So I remember somebody told me, and he's one of my good friends. I love him. At 16, I used to think I was in the G unit. I loved playing football. I was obsessed with girls. I just started smoking weed. My friends made fun of me because I had just lost my virginity at 16, and they made me obsessed with like girls. Like we had this sense of pride, like a Boy Scout. Like, oh, I got Susan, Jane, and Brandy, and oh, but I got like 12. It was like this badge of honor to see how many girls you could get. And if I could tell my 16-year-old self anything, I don't want to say nothing cliche like, oh, be patient. Like, um, I would have told my 16-year-old self to let go of the ego, because I would have absorbed a lot more information. I would have saw opportunities a lot more. I would have been tapped in to know when certain things, when certain opportunities were available. I was so cocky at 16. You couldn't tell me nothing. You couldn't tell me nothing at 16. I was invincible. I would have ran. I would have ran through anybody in the world. Like I thought I was a superhero, and that's good to think like that, to be confident, but not to the point where your confidence is arrogance and you're incapable of absorbing knowledge from others. And at that point in time, I was incapable of absorbing knowledge from other people. Like I just went and spoke to the JV basketball team in my school, and I could tell like a lot of them didn't really take the information in, and some of them did. You know, so that's something I would tell my 16-year-old self for sure. Like
That was
put
definitely
down,
a great
let your
answer.
ego
That was definitely a good answer. I would probably tell myself that now again. At 16, I would tell my 16-year-old self the same thing probably. Now that you put it in that context.
Yeah,
I got
yeah.
I
That,
got a
that
question though. Who,
Go ahead.
who inspires you? Who inspired you or who inspires you besides
Like,
Nipsey? Because I think
okay,
that's obvious.
yeah, that's definitely obvious. Today, who inspires me? I would say children, children. Like children really
Why you
inspire
say
me.
that?
Children, all these children remind me of how dull we become as we're adults, and how beautiful the earth should be. Like when children, you ever see a parent yell at they kid for trying to wander around the store, wander around the house? Like, yo, get over here! Don't touch that. That child is just curious of the world, and you're destroying, you're dulling its spark in its eyes. This earth is a playground for all of us. And that's why I hate certain religions that say, "Oh, you got to wait till you die to go to heaven." We could create heaven on earth right here. And as a child, children see the world so innocently, and they see it so perfectly. That's why when they look at adults, they're like they don't really respect the, you know, a lot of kids are considered bad because they look at the adults and they see them miserable, they see them stressed, and they're like, dude, I don't want to do that. And my kids have
Mhm.
really brought back and inspired me to remember that spark I had as a child and try to retain it as an adult. And I think that's why the word dull, Dull, even though they've only put one L on it, the word is still in adult for a reason. Your soul dulls. Your spark dulls when you become an adult. That shit they told us when made us feel like all that hip hop shit. And that's why people like when the 16-year-old shit, they always be like, oh, what were you doing at 16? I said I was getting fucked up by G Unit, trying to be hard, you know, getting programmed by hip hop, trying to be
Mhm.
an adult before I even that whole shit. The whole shit about being an adult is overrated completely. We should be a child as long as we can. Like my grandma's 60 something and she still act like a child. She still be saying stupid little funny shit, just enjoying, you know. She always just say little corny shit to just be happy about life, and then sometimes it's just
Mhm.
that's what it's about. So children inspire me to keep my soul my soul and my fire alive, because trying to save all these adults in the community, trying that's why I focused on my nonprofit, because I was so drained from dealing with the trying to help these adults, trying to help these grown folks, people 40 years old and a 40-year-old body with the mindset of a 14-year-old. And I got 13-year-olds who got more have more passion and maturity than some of these adults do. um, they really inspire me because I'm just that's who's gonna absorb everything I got. You know,
Mhm.
not these adults that are already you know, stuck in their ways. Some of them I can, but some of them suffer from cognitive dissonance. Like they can't comprehend thinking on your own. If it ain't on the news, if it ain't on TV, if it ain't on music, if it ain't from some credible source in a white jacket, you know, then they can't comprehend it. So I didn't mean to drag that out, but children continue to inspire me.
Nah, I definitely appreciate that. I think we only got up to like three questions into this interview, but I feel
Yeah.
like we definitely need a part two to this one as well. I
Yeah, yeah.
appreciate
We could
all the
definitely do
wisdom, all the
a
gems
part
that you
two,
dropped.
because what we reaching an hour now?
Yeah, we reaching an hour, so I want to wrap it up just to make sure that we we touch the hour limit. But definitely for sure, bro. I appreciate you taking the time out to have this segment with me and all the wisdom that you dropped. I know some people are just gonna not allow that to seep through their brain, a lot of the stuff that you spoke about, but the
Yeah,
ones that will would definitely appreciate this segment.
absolutely. So before we get off, I just want to say a couple things that really will help people find their passion. I always teach my kids a man or woman of excellence is six W's: well read, well spoken, well dressed, well behaved, well traveled, and well trained. So the first one, well read. I always tell people to read the book The Alchemist by Paulo Coelho. It's about a book about a kid's journey of trying to find his purpose. And after you get through the first two chapters, which gives you a general rundown of what the book is and the setting and stuff like that, every you might as well have just highlight the whole book, because every sentence is a gem after that. Like I wish I could just put make a whole wall of quotes from that book, because every other sentence is just a life quote that helps you. What's the next one? Well spoken. I'd say get a dictionary and thesaurus, and also use Siri define. You know, use your digital assistant in your phone. Anytime I don't know a word, I'm like, Siri define this, Siri define that. That helps you broaden your mind to be able to explain your reality a little bit better and find out what you trying to do, and be able to articulate it. Instead of being like, oh, I don't know how to explain it. I don't know how to explain this feeling or this
Mm-hmm.
emotion. Um, well read, well spoken, well behaved. Well behaved is something I still work on. Um, I still have some demons to work on, but I got them mostly tamed. Um, well read, well spoken, well behaved, well dressed. Um, I think people need to know how to adapt to certain environments and how to dress. Like, boom, you got that beautiful hoodie on from your business, perfect to wear it in the podcast. I put on just a nice button up. I didn't come here, with a hoodie. Like an all black hoodie and look like I'm a socially awkward hacker that doesn't talk to anybody and I stay in the corner next to my computer, or try to come too thugged out and too much jewelry and shit like that. Knowing how to dress for the occasion and evolve. It's the next one's well traveled. Traveling is what helped my mind evolve. Like ascend, honestly, seeing different environments, different ways of thinking, different meeting different people, their different way of thinking, just seeing new different ways of living. Because I notice in my small town it's like a 4 or 5 mile radius and people don't even know about we grew up in Dunkirk, and then Fredonia is like the rival town, and there's a beautiful cafe there called Upper Crust. A little bit expensive. She does all organic products and stuff like that, but people in my hometown live there 30, 40, 50 years, don't even know about that cafe a mile and a half away. They don't even know it exists. They don't even know it's there. Um, so traveling and seeing different ways of living and existing helps evolve your mind. And then well trained, and well trained is like we said, while you're trying to find your passion. Hey, maybe for 6 months I try to be an actor. I don't work out. Okay, whatever. I'm gonna try to be a real estate agent. In your 20s, that's where you find it. In your 20s, you bust your ass. In your 30s, you invest. In your 40s, you chill. So that's the 24, 20, 30, 40 rule. In your 20s, you work your ass off. In your 30s, you invest. And in your 40s, you chill. So in your 20s, keep figuring out. I wish it was in your teens, but we so controlled by that education system. But some teenagers are figuring it out. We should honestly, it should be in your teens that you do all that work and try to figure out what you're doing. That's the whole point of fucking education system, but it don't really excuse me, help you out. I've been talking so much, my shit going dry. But that's why I like that movie Divergent, where they find they put each person where they want to go, like in their skill set and their training. Like, hey, do you want to be a healer? Hey, do you want to be a fighter? And it allows them to focus on that area and become well trained. So you focus on those 6 W's as a man or woman of excellence, well read, well spoken, well dressed, well behaved, well traveled, well trained, and you'll find your passion little by little. Don't try to do that shit overnight. This shit is a journey.
Appreciate you, my brother. Appreciate you, and I'm pretty sure
Yeah,
a lot of people gonna appreciate this segment.
absolutely, absolutely. My ass needs a cup of water because I'm gonna keep coughing right now.
For sure, my brother. We wrap this up.
Yeah,
Again, thank you, and we definitely gonna do this again, my brother.
absolutely, absolutely. High vibe, smooth frequencies, y'all.
Okay, my brother.
Peace.